What is that? Oh, a little like neck koozie?
It's a neck koozie. It's my
Is,
my thrift store find.
is that what it's called? The neck koozie? Is there like a
Yeah, it's
cool
a neck
name for
koozie.
it?
It's great for the lake
A
days.
koozie.
I mean, I would have
Hmm.
my shirt off right now, but just so you could get a preview of what this koozie really looks like on the lake. But this is
Yeah.
this is it right now.
So it's like I could experience where you are
Yep.
with your shirt off. That's nice. You're very thoughtful. Well, make sure you speak in the microphone and welcome everyone
Wow.
to the greatest podcast for travel in the universe, the whole world. I'm your host, Fraser Laveay, inspiredtraveleat.com. We got Jackie Boy, Greaves, Biscuits, and G Reezy, and we're talking about the 30 best travel tips that you can have, from budget to just great ideas. And I've got a whole list from the website. You can go on there if you want to read yourself. But me and Jackie, we're going to knock it out, go through a little bit, and, you know, have some beers along the way. I'm going to drink Zoa energy drink. Shout out.
I'm drinking
We do shout
ranch
outs.
waters because I got the
Mm.
Crohn's real bad. Still got the Crohn's. Nothing's
Oh
changed.
yeah. You can't
Crohn's
get rid
got
of
me.
that. It's like luggage. You just keep it.
Yep. I've been eating
Okay.
a lot of PF Chang's lately because they have a nice gluten-free menu. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
that's interesting. You'd go to a place that's like predominantly known for gluten, but then just get the gluten free. I feel like I
Not
just go to a
hey,
gluten free place.
PF
That's
Chang's
nice.
got with the times. They took a look at
Mm,
their demographics and they said, it's time for gluten-free menu, and they did it. I highly
that's great.
recommend the Chang's chicken and the Singapore street noodles. Neither one of those is a paid shout out from PF Chang's. So this is just because I'm a fan.
Yeah,
Straight up. Been there 4 times this week.
that's great. I'm glad that for our travel podcast, we're telling people to go to chains that they all know about. But, anyways,
Hey, if
semantics,
you're on the
I guess.
road,
Yeah.
there's a lot of them, and they're great for a quick stop if you're into the quick fine dining.
Yeah. Quick QFDs, we call them. Well, let's get into it. Jackson, this is one of my favorite things to tell people when they ask me about traveling. I say hunt for experiences, not beaches.
Hmm.
So what I mean by that is, like, there's a beach, you're just in Destin. You can go to a beach anywhere. I've been to a beach in Fiji. I've been to a beach in Thailand or New Zealand. For the most part, a beach is a beach.
Yep.
And it's like after you do it a few times, if you're lucky enough to, maybe not everyone is. If you're not lucky enough to, then go to the Dominican, go get yourself some beach time. But I think going to a place like Chiang Mai in Thailand or Luang Prabang in Laos, all those kind of places are just, the experience you'll have is momentous, from just the culture you'll see, the food, um, everything else. Like I went to India, worst trip of my entire life. It was an awful place. No offense, everyone, but even my four great Indian friends all concur. But it was the most incredible experience I ever had. So
Unless you
yeah.
know
Did
someone,
you have any?
predominantly on top of the caste system there. We won't get into that. I could speak hours on it. I'm very passionate about the Indian caste
Yeah,
system. So
really. What do you have any, like a couple things you'd like to share, or
I'm not a big
is
fan.
that not
I'll tell you
for
that.
TV?
Like, not a
Hmm.
big fan, but I know about it, and I think it's
Yeah,
yeah. It's, but they
maybe
throw
we can shed more light.
hell of a wedding, and they can dance. Oh, they
Hmm.
can dance and make great movies. Love the Bollywood scene. Very colorful.
Yeah,
Big fan of the culture there. And dude, I once again the Singapore street noodles and PF Chang's, they kind of was doing some biting, but it has curry in it. Big fan of the curry. Love curry.
yeah.
Great food there.
I'm glad we managed to offend everyone in India in the last 35 seconds. Yeah, that's great. Indian food. Also, I went to India, and everyone's like, "Oh, I love Indian food. That must be incredible." It's like, how often do you eat Indian food? Like once every 2 months? So imagine
I
eating it every single day. And for
I
breakfast, they eat the same stuff for breakfast as they do for lunch and dinner.
I'll tell you this. I there was a spot back in my place of raisin called Knoxville, Tennessee, called Tandur,
Mm,
and I ate that weekly. And that place I could smash some chicken vindaloo, some of their chicken mars. Just they have some chicken tikka masala. They have the best. That I will say this,
yeah,
they got some incredible stuff that it just does not
yeah,
get lost on me. Does not get lost on me.
great. While you turn the sound off on your phone so it doesn't ding to our listeners, number two is
All the people
I want to know
tuning
this tip,
in,
Jackson.
buddy. Huh?
Yeah, live. One of my favorites is I call it flexible flights and purposeful layovers.
Mm,
So what I mean by that is if you're going to Greece or Cambodia, for instance, if you look, it's expensive as hell and it's like 30 plus hour flights.
hmm
So I always look. What I do is I'll book a flight. Let's say we're going to Greece, which I did a couple years ago. I flew to Rome round trip, and so I flew to Rome. Actually, I flew into Rome and out of Barcelona. The flight to Rome was like $350, and the flight from Barcelona back was like $350. And then once you're in Europe, it's so cheap to fly everywhere. So instead of just going to Greece, I went to Rome for 2.5 days, flew to Greece, then came back to Barcelona, stayed there for like 2.5 days, experienced all that. It was a third of the price of if I flew right to Greece, and I got to see two immaculate cities. So
Because you were playing with layovers. You're just playing with the
yeah,
layovers.
flexible
Incredible.
layovers. Yeah, so I did
What
that in Asia too. I went.
what would you say
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
easiest airport to get in and out of during that trip was? Intercontinental.
Um, I feel like European airports are always really good. Like, and most of
Very
the flights you can
efficient.
get from anywhere in the U.S. Yeah, or like London, cheap flights to London, Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, and Rome.
Was that a
Yeah,
lisp? I
so real
heard.
simple. Yeah, Barcelona. Um, so yeah, that's another tip. This one's real simple, and I know you believe in this wholeheartedly, and this is really just a life lesson. What's that sound, by the way? Do you have a microwave going
I
on?
have another one. I have another phone. It's been dinging.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find
yeah.
it.
You gotta turn the microwave thing off.
Keep going.
Um,
This energy's going.
yeah.
I'm flowing with it.
Okay. So my thing, can you hear me? It's be friendly and make friends with locals and tourists. Which I mean, that's simple, right? But
Right off the
I've
get go.
bought, yeah, like even uh, you kind of have to be not a wallflower when you travel and just buying someone a drink, talking to them. I've had some of the coolest experiences I've ever had. Like when I was in Vietnam, I ended up playing soccer with actually they're now like the Asian beach soccer champs, like 3 times running, and they've gone like the beach soccer World Cup.
I saw that. It was
So
unbelievable.
that was one of the coolest things ever. Actually, probably the coolest thing I've ever done. They like took me in for a week, and I was practicing with them, played in a friendly.
You drank a
It
lot.
was
There's not a
yeah.
lot of that.
They took they took
Lost
me to this
weight.
dinner. Yeah, they took me to dinner in Da Nang, and it was on the street, and they just set up like little plastic tables,
Love it.
and then there's fish tanks, and you go and select what you want to eat from the fish tanks, and it was incredible. And so they chop it right up in front of you. They cook it with like noodles and rice and all these little vegetables, like what's like a pot? What's it called? A
Hot
potluckish
pot.
kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah, hot pot. There we go, and a potluck.
hot
All
pot.
the pots.
Big hot pot
And it was
fan
like,
you're talking to right
yeah.
here.
And I was so overjoyed. I spent like $200 on the dinner, and there's a whole team. There's 18 of us. $200 for 18 people. Not very expensive, but I was like, I'm taking care of it
With alcohol,
because,
with the booze, from what
yeah,
I saw. I saw a lot of beers on the table.
exactly.
A lot of a
Yeah.
lot of nice beers.
So
What is the
incredible.
beer of Nam? What is it right there?
Ooh, I always get them all confused. I think Budweiser or Anheuser-Busch or whatever brand it is, I think they just take the exact same beer, which is smart, and they just put a different label on it, and maybe they add like a little bit of different spice from that country. Because like the Vietnam beer, the Lao beer, I think it's just called Lao beer Lao.
Mhm.
The Thailand beer, which is called I forget what it's called, but I think it's all just a lie, to be honest, because it
Yeah,
all
yeah, it's
tastes the
water
same.
that identifies as beer, probably.
Yeah, that's a valid point. But Saigon is this called Beer Saigon, or there's 333? I remember drinking a lot of. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So here's one that's kind of unintentionally negative. Uh, I've accidentally gone to places where the stock has dipped recently. So, like, remember when Greece had their economic downturn?
Riot.
I went to
They had
Thailand a
riot.
year after.
Lots of riots.
Yeah, I went. I went to Thailand after the tsunami, like back in 2005. I went, and obviously stuff was pretty cheap. But it
Yeah,
was also
stuff
you're
was
helping
watered
the
down.
economy.
Yeah, as I say,
I don't,
the
I'll have to edit
economy
that
had been
out.
watered down.
Um, might have to edit that part out. But and then also Puerto Rico. I was there a year after the hurricane, the Virgin Islands. So it was nice. You're also giving back to
Was
the
that during the
economy.
like time Trump was like tossing paper
Yeah.
towels out like basketballs?
Yes, that is actually exactly then.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah. So I mean, if you are on a budget, just look at some places that maybe, even Vietnam and Nicaragua are good examples where people are scared. Like instead of going to Vietnam, there's kind of that stigma attached. So people go to Thailand because it's Americanized and safe, quote unquote. So Vietnam is very underappreciated because obviously, as you can imagine, there's that stigma next to it. So going to those kind of places, magical.
Stigma.
Uh, yeah.
Stigma attached to Nam?
Yeah, like Vietnam.
Yeah, there's no stigma. There's no
I think
war
there
still.
is.
I don't
I
know
don't
if you
think.
know this, Fraser. There's no war still going on. There's that was during the 70s.
Yeah, but
There's no
Americans are still ignorant to it.
oh. Are you sure like North Americans in general like you're from Canada like and that was a
Yeah.
pretty ignorant statement.
Oh, says the guy who's got jokes about Thailand. I think got it
I haven't
15
been.
years ago.
I haven't been. I'm just going off what I've heard. I'm just going off what
Yeah.
which is ignorant. Which is ignorant. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
this is yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll book my ticket tomorrow. I'll book my ticket tomorrow.
Lovely. We'll go. Alcohol on flights, you can't really do this, but it's illegal now. But it wasn't for a while. Where I would just take like in a plastic little sandwich bag. I would just take a bunch of like liquor bottles, the wee guys, and take them through on carry on, and then just ask for a soda, drinks all night, all day, on your flight.
Wow.
So now it's
Are you
illegal.
on intercontinental flights? I have yet to do. I've of course I've bought liquor at airports before, but like
Hmm.
on an intercontinental flight, can you just pop that bad boy? Are you allowed to pop the thing the full bottle of boozes that you collect at
No,
terminals?
that's what I was kind of saying. It's frowned upon.
It's frowned upon.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot, Bin Laden.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
but
would
you can still do
I
it.
would say more Malaysia Airlines. They had a real hard year as well. You
Yeah.
know, missing flights, down
Hmm.
flight. It's crazy. It's been more,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
been,
true.
yeah. You know, get with you know,
So we should
you
support
can't
them.
just blame everything on Bin
Yeah.
Laden. You know, I'd love to blame everything on Bin Laden, but you can't anymore.
Yeah.
Obama took care of that problem.
Yeah. USA, 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 USA.
Yeah.
Um, Netflix and chill. So, are you aware that I'm sure you can download Netflix shows and movies?
I've
Did you
done
know that?
that. Yeah. You're talking
Yeah,
about on the
yeah,
plane rides.
yeah.
On
Well,
the
like before you go on the plane, when you're at home the day before, you download a bunch of stuff. So on the
yeah.
plane ride, if they don't have good
YouTube
movies, they don't have
Premium.
TVs.
YouTube Premium. I've really used that a lot.
I have YouTube
Really?
TV. That's separate from YouTube Premium?
It is very separate. You can download all the YouTube videos that you
Very.
want and watch them on the I mean the YouTube just it just segregated into a bunch of it compartmentalized a bunch of stuff, you know? So you have to have like three
Hmm.
different YouTube subscriptions. Hey, nothing against YouTube, big fan of YouTube, you know? But
Yeah. Shout out
I
YouTube.
would love YouTube TV to kind of encompass, you know, the YouTube Premium. But I love comedy specials, big comedy special fan. So I download a
Yeah.
lot of YouTube Premium comedy specials before I zip off into the sunset, on
Yeah,
a commercial flight.
that makes sense. I'm going to Theo Vaughn on Thursday. Speaking of comedy
What
shows,
city?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Theo's going to Phoenix, eh?
He's got like 3 days.
I'm sure he does well in Phoenix.
Yeah,
My kind of
yeah,
people. The kind of
no
people
doubt.
down there. I love Phoenix. The
Yeah,
golly, the people down in Phoenix.
some of
Love
the
them.
worst.
Love Phoenix.
Um, Another one I have. So I go back and forth on this, but I say spending extra for the experience was worth it. And if you're on a crazy tight budget, then don't listen to this. But there's a fine line between spending a little extra or sticking to your budget, and sometimes paying more is worth it. Like I always say, you'll make $100 thousands of times in your life, maybe tens of thousands or whatever. I'm not a math guy. But when will you be back in Bali again? When will you be back in Laos? When will you be back in Greece? So if it means spending an extra $100 you don't have to maybe avoid like a 12-hour bus ride in Thailand, and you just buy that flight so you get an extra 10 hours in a city or a full day in a city, do that. So I just think that spend the extra $100 is worth your time that you will never get back again, but you will get that $100 back, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. Well, look up something. That
Hmm.
just brought up a good question in my mind.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is get lost. So, I mean, stay safe, of course, but sometimes take a right instead of a left, unless you're in Mexico City.
Yeah,
Stay
you
the
got
course
robbed.
and around people. Yeah. So, don't, most places do this, but not in Mexico City to everyone. But stick the same path. You'll just follow the others. I was in Chiang Mai. And in Chiang Mai, it's a big square that you just go around and forever, and you rent bikes, and there's like temples everywhere. Beautiful city. And we went around it a few times, and I was like, what if we just took a right? And so we went off the track. We ended up in like this kind of little ghetto soccer field. It was almost like Rucker Park, the basketball courts in New York. So it was like that, but soccer. And they just had like string light bulbs hanging over like little soccer courts and stuff. And me and my
That's
buddy played there for
adorable.
like we played there for 5 hours. We were buying all the locals like water and beers and stuff. Um, it was that and the Vietnam,
Was
two of
that
my
your
favorite.
tourist guilt or something? Like, we were gonna buy
Well,
everyone water?
I mean, they're inviting us to play with them
Water's on me, y'all.
and beer.
Did you go to a local convenience store and get a case? Or you just like throwing
Well, it
waters
was
at people like Trump
no, that was just next to
or
the
a piece of
courts.
corn?
They invited us to play with them, and it was the least I could do was
You're like,
provide them
water's
with.
above me. You let the gringo play.
uh,
That's incredible.
yeah.
Look,
Another
now
one you'll
that's a
like.
hot travel tip. Bring water with you wherever you go.
That's on the list, and your little koozie, your neck koozie. Uh,
This thing,
so
this
another
thing
one,
is transformative. My drinking game
yeah.
has gone to another level.
Ah.
It really has.
Um,
This
if
is
a
awesome to have a
local,
fanny pack. Like, I can put this around my
great.
waist, believe it or not. It stretches. It's very
Even
stretchy.
your waist.
Hey, I've lost weight due to the Crohn's.
That's
Look at
good.
this.
Less gluten.
Look at this. Look at that.
That's great.
Get it.
Yeah, for everyone
Look
who's
at that.
not watching,
That's
Jackson's
belt.
showing how it fits around his waist.
Yeah.
This won't be on. Sometimes the video doesn't translate, so a lot of people can't see. They're just gonna be listening, so they don't know what's going on right now. Another
Translate
thing I like
that.
to
Yeah.
tell if everyone, you'll like this one. If a local jumped off a bridge or ate snake, would you do it? And the answer is yes, do it. If it doesn't
If a
scare
local
you,
does
yeah, if it doesn't scare you, it won't change you.
it. I
Trust your
hear the
gut,
same
but
goes in San Francisco.
yep.
Yeah, if it's a
Uh,
local, and same in Portland. I don't know about that. Not everything the
yeah,
locals do can, you know,
yeah.
be
I love we've covered.
beneficial to your cultural experience.
That's
Not
true.
necessarily. Like you
Yeah,
said, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you
Concur.
don't do everything the locals do. You know what I'm saying? Don't do
Yeah, that's
everything.
true.
Yeah.
Well, same thing in the USA. You don't want to do everything the locals do here and bring a gun
Oh,
into a
that's
school and
what I
shoot.
said. Yeah, I agree. Alabama,
Yeah,
you don't want to go have sex with your cousin, and then if you go to San Fran, you don't want to do. There's a lot. Just Google
definitely
San
don't do it.
Francisco and just don't just
Do
just
it.
dwell on it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Miss that city.
Um, yeah. Another thing, reach out to your network, which you're great at. Tap in, like, just who do you got out there in Facebook? Maybe you never know who's out there and can put you up. If you don't have
Look
enough
for
money, maybe,
opportunity.
yeah.
Look
Lots
for
of friends out
opportunity
there.
to travel.
Put your thing on Facebook. Hey, I'm going to XYZ. Does anyone know anyone there? And I'm sure 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, you probably do know someone in that area or has some good tips or a guide or all that kind of stuff. So make sure you use that network.
No, and
Um,
my goodness, this is what I talk about opportunities. Brings me back up to my point I was looking up. I was looking up world's cheapest intercontinental flights. Now, tell me, Fraser, if you have an inkling of what pulled up when I searched that.
like locations?
Yeah, it's like world's cheapest just flights to get to from America. And then on top of that, what country has the cheapest airfare in the world?
Does this include like North America or are we talking like
This
across the
includes the
pond?
world. This includes the world, the Earth that is within this universe. What country on this planet has the cheapest airfare?
And that was none I mentioned?
I'm telling you, no, it has been mentioned. It actually has
Yeah.
been mentioned.
Yeah. I would say probably like London or Rome or Barcelona or Madrid, maybe Paris.
I would have you know, my well-traveled friend, it's actually Malaysia. Malaysia has the cheapest airfare in the world.
But I think we're talking about two different things. Like, I'm sure flying in Malaysia, yes, or lots of Asian places. We're saying a flight from LA right now to where is the cheapest? I don't think
I
Malaysia is
no,
the
I'm
answer.
pretty sure it is Malaysia. They've had some tough times lately. I don't know if you've stayed up
Okay.
to date with the news over the years, but you can get on a
Yeah.
Malaysia flight and just never, just disappear.
Yeah.
Things are crazy over there.
Okay.
But hey,
All
worth
right.
the
Well,
risk, right? And
high
you can
risk,
go anywhere in the
high
world for
reward,
under
like we
200
talked
bucks.
about.
I'll roll the
Hmm.
dice with that.
Um, Speaking of
Also,
which, another
Beirut.
favorite
If
thing
you
I
want to
love.
go from LA to Beirut, I'm looking at some incredible pricing right now, blowing me away. Actually, never been to
Great.
Beirut. Have you, Fraser? Any friends been to
I
Beirut?
have no. I've never been to Beirut.
You can get there. It's saying for under $500, like all the way from
Nice.
United States. That's incredible.
Yeah. Somewhere I've always wanted to go.
Have you really
Um,
Beirut?
I don't want to go there. No.
Yeah, me neither. But hey, I'm
All
saying
right.
put yourself in that situation. You got to put yourself in uncomfortable places.
Yeah, you're right. No, I mean, we that hits two of the things we brought up. Take chances, take some risks. Also, go to places that may be a little bit down right now to save some money. Another thing you'll love, which you're kind of doing right now, one of my favorite tips is you go to like Google Flights, as in like Google's own flights,
Hmm.
and there's a place where you can just hit Explore. So what I'll do, and I just did this for a flight to
Try and listen.
Colombia. I'll put I'll put Phoenix, obviously where I'm from, and then it goes the dates you want and you hit enter and it'll show you all around the world where you could fly and you make it like less than 14 hours flights, less than 21 hours flights, less than 8 hour flights, whatever you're kind of looking for, the price you want to pay. And from there you just kind of select, okay, it's this much here, this much there, I can go to there. So like the two best places under 12 hours of flying for me were Panama and Colombia. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to Colombia. I had no idea where I was going to go, Jackie. I just threw it in the Google flights and said, you know what? You're my god, Google. What's the song? Whisk me away. Strap in your seatbelts.
Yeah. But
Jesus has the wheel. Google has the
thank you.
wheel.
Thank you. I'll agree to that. Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah. Download. Have you ever downloaded Google offline Maps? Always make sure you do that because some
Okay.
places you'll not have any service.
That is
Yeah,
a
because
very
you
good
don't have
tip.
service when you travel,
No, I'm a very
and
I do not know my way around anywhere. I can't get
no,
around my
that's true.
local grocery store, without some guidance.
Hmm.
So that's a very sweet tip, Fraser, that I'm going to use
Yeah,
daily. Actually,
great. I'm glad I could help.
some people are
Yeah,
vacationing
so
as soon
offline
as they open
maps.
their door. You know,
Yeah, that's beautiful words. I'm gonna put that in like some sort of quote. People are vacationing as soon as they leave their door. Don't let us forget that.
yeah. Go try
Beautiful.
something new
Very,
today. For instance, this whole week I've been eating at PF Chang's. Today
yeah.
I went at I'm in Houston, by the way. I'm in Houston right now, traveling, and I
I'm
ventured
writing your
out
quote
to go
down,
to
by the way.
Willie's. Went to Willie's today, Ice House in Houston, and fantastic. I had some Cajun food, um, a
Hmm.
Topo Chico seltzer, uh, and I the Cajun food I had was a redfish fillet, perfectly grilled,
Hmm.
and then with some wings. Because
Hmm.
honestly, wings are a great, I would say, factor to weigh in on any restaurant. If a restaurant doesn't have good wings,
Hmm.
what do they
Don't
have?
mess with them. It's a
What do
good
they have?
Mendoza line.
Yeah.
Mendoza
It's
line for
like if
for
you want to
yeah.
check out what the standard is at a restaurant, try their wings. See how they care.
Yeah, I like
See
that.
what they care. And these were
Great tip.
juicy.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah. When's the
that's
last
nice.
what?
Another tip I have.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Oh,
What
always.
were you gonna ask? You can go ahead.
I like to look whenever I'm looking at hotel fares, the amenities that come with it. I love the
Hmm.
amenities that come with boutique hotels, certain places. Some hotels actually have discounts that you can get to local areas, especially when you go abroad. There's some you can get some great deals ahead of time if you just do the research. If you go ahead and check it out.
Do you have do you have an example of one of these deals that you've
I
gotten from a
do.
hotel?
I do, Fraser Laveay. I do. For instance, this hotel I'm at right now, I looked for a hot tub. I looked for hot tubs because nice little soak after. Stays open till 10 p.m., which is very great. Workout rooms, great distance, walking distance, from everything. Also
Mm,
has a great
I don't know if
market
that's
and
in
bar
one that you can put.
downstairs for late night stuff. So if I want to just drink downstairs, I
Mhm.
can go drink downstairs. I
Yeah.
would say where you stay really does have a big impact on every trip. So try to find out what the amenities are because just a hotel room isn't enough
Yeah.
these days. You gotta things got
Absolutely.
they have to offer
We
more.
can add
Like, what
that.
kind of towels are they using? Do they use good shampoos
Mm.
rooms, or is it
Mm.
that chemical stuff
Yeah.
that makes your hair fall out? You got to weigh these things
Mm.
in.
Mm. Are you blaming your hair falling out on hotel towels?
Hey, no, I'm blaming on a barber that I got in San Antonio that did my hair. He really did a number on me. My hairline. Look at this.
Hmm.
Look, you see these little hairs? Because he shaved my hairline all the way up to there. Messed me up for probably another month or two. You see this? You see the growth?
Is that a
That is
thing?
just
Shaving
brand
someone's
new.
hairline on the front?
Yeah, he
Doesn't
tried to
sound like
line me
something you
up.
do.
He tried to line me
Oh.
up.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
San
do that with
Antonio
gringo hair,
barber
can
tried to
you?
line this guy up. Do I look like I need a
Oh,
lineup?
all of a
No,
sudden I
I
lost
need a
you.
trim. Two guard on
Yeah.
the side, scissor cut. Not
Yeah.
line up.
Wow. That's
I
hilarious.
was I
Um,
was livid. I was
and
livid.
that
I still
we
tipped
gotta
him ten
fire through.
dollars though. Still tipped him $10 out of principle
That's
of being
nice
a
of you.
good human and to not be
That's nice.
shot because the guy gave me very scary vibes.
All
Pretty
right.
sure he
Well,
nodded off halfway during my haircut too, but
hmm. Okay.
I felt
Um,
threatened.
we got to get back and knock out some of these tips. Travel by yourself once in your life. I love traveling by yourself, especially if you can like you can just kind of do whatever you want when you want. You don't have to worry about if someone wants to do this or someone's, tired this day. You can kind of just you'll meet people along the way and just go along your route. Um, Also, on that note, volunteer abroad, especially if you're female. Like I wouldn't want my sister to ever travel alone, but there's like a volunteer HQ is a company I worked with, and Maximo Novell, and they actually you pay to volunteer, and they set you up with like a place to stay with like a host family, and they help you find volunteering, whether you can do dentistry, you can do nursing, you can do animal stuff, you can do childcare and sports stuff like I did. So definitely an incredible way to travel, and then you kind of meet people every night. There's little mixers, you get to meet everyone, meet some friends, and that's very well, it's safe to do.
I
So
would say
volunteer abroad, Maximum Novell. Yeah,
safely look into
IBHQ.
Facebook groups, abroad Facebook groups, for
Hmm.
certain areas. Um, I'd like to.
IBHQ has that actually too.
I used to do that, not anymore,
Mm.
but I definitely would
Mm.
check out different interests that I have that would line up. When you say explore, do activities, look up those activities where locals are doing the local Facebook group activities, and
Yeah,
try to
absolutely.
infiltrate those groups and get some people to help you out as a tourist. I always appreciate
Yeah,
some local trying to help a yellow belly out. It's nice.
absolutely. I know you do two of these things to a T and not even on purpose, but I say don't stress the small stuff or things you can't control and slow down and don't overplan your trip. So don't stress the small stuff. When you're in a third world country, shit's gonna happen. Buses are gonna be late, hotels are gonna take forever to check in, something's gonna get stolen. You're just gonna it's it's never gonna be perfect. It's Murphy's Law, but you put yourself out there, it's going to happen. Third world countries, that's the reason they're third world countries. So don't sweat the small stuff. Just say, hey, you know what? I had a camera stolen. I was like, I guess they needed it more than I do. Or, you can't
Where
just
was
be in a
that at,
rush
Frazier?
all the
What
time.
where
Just slow
was
down.
that at that you got your
That
camera stolen?
that was in Chiang Mai,
Mm,
actually in Thailand.
mm,
Yeah. Because that was back in 2005 when we still had like digital cameras. Now I just have my
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Um, So planning is important. Like don't overplan your trip. You want to have kind of an outline of what you're doing, but go with the flow. There's once you're there, there's so many random things you can walk into or stroll into, and I wouldn't have everything to a T. I would leave some flexibility in your trip. Uh,
Where when
yeah,
when did you play with the elephants? Was that Bali?
that was Laos. I did it in
Laos.
Thailand, but then Laos as well, or
Yeah,
Cambodia,
I
Laos,
would say.
Laos.
What about
Yeah.
nature? I always feel like traveling into nature is a cheap way to really,
Hmm.
have a great experience, but not have to pay too much for it. What do you
Yeah,
think about that? Like a
I
hike, go
absolutely
take a
agree. I
hike.
think like just yeah, absolutely. That's why I love going to like I don't do a lot of Europe. I do more Asia and South America because there's a lot more adventure tourism and going on hikes and seeing waterfalls versus I always feel like England someone told me this a long time ago that go to places that won't be there tomorrow. So like England and London is always going to be London. Um where's another like Paris is always going to be Paris. It's not going to be a big change in how Paris is, by and large. But Asia, like just South America, Bogota, wherever it is changing so rapidly and just becoming Americanized. So you definitely want to get there while it's still local, cultural, not just overpopulated. And before too many people find it out. Like Thailand, I went in 2005, and then I went again 3 years ago, and it's night and day, completely different. So you definitely want to hit those places early and yeah, get into nature, do all that kind of fun stuff. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a budget, eat local. I know you love this. See what the locals are eating and eat that. I eat it just street food in Asia all the time. It's like 2 cents to eat and incredible everywhere. Tacos in South America, whatever it is, chicken and rice. In Costa Rica, they have these things called sodas, and they're just like little mom and pop shop. Grandma's cooking in the kitchen, and oh my god, it's like $2-3 for a plate. Incredible.
It's
Um,
abuela. Abuela, you were the word you were referring to.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you for that. Instagram search and TikTok, great ways to see some places. So, I mean, just type in where you're going and see what IGers have posted about that spot. So, use social media and you can see, if I went to, again, Cambodia, I can search Cambodia and I see all the cool pictures and places people visit and copy those
Now,
itineraries and make sure I
I
see all these cool
know
spots.
now I know for certain you don't know a lick of Cambodian, or you can't speak
Hmm.
Thai. So
No.
how did you make it such genuine, fantastic relationships with the locals, Fraser? Did you?
Thailand's easy because everyone speaks English, like all the tour people. But Vietnam, the
Wonderful to
soccer
know.
team I was with, they didn't
Wonderful.
speak. Yeah, they didn't speak a lick of English. The coach like spoke some English, but very little, and so I just talked to him and translate to the kids or like the guys. But what's
You're
crazy
easily
about
to
that
read
is kind of beautiful.
facial.
Is
You
like,
have very easy to read facial
yeah,
expressions too, Fraser. You know, like
yeah,
I feel
thank
like
you.
you're
Like
very kind
happiness,
face, very kind face.
sad,
You know, like
thank you.
you don't look
Yeah,
hostile. Like I feel like very
yeah,
amicable, and even
hmm,
rare. You know, you're Native American, so like it's incredible. You know that you're just they
yeah,
don't even realize it at first. It's incredible.
yeah. Absolutely. Well, also it's kind of beautiful. It's corny, but like both those times, we spoke the game.
You're the
We spoke
OGs is
football.
what I mean.
We
Like
spoke soccer.
you're talking about Americanizing the West. You're talking about Americanizing
Yeah,
the West, but like you're the OG of
yeah,
America. So it's kind of nice that when you go out there and you go
yeah. I
spread
can
the love.
represent.
Exactly.
I represent all of North America.
Ex-
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
it's nice.
Yeah. Um, Another thing I always tell is jet lags for babies. So fight it.
Hmm.
Prep. So a way I do it is, when will you ever Oh, so I wrote this. I wrote this in the article. Jet lag should really only exist on your flight back when you have to go back to your job and you feel like Tommen after his mom killed his wife. So I think,
What is that
remember when
reference to?
Tommen jumped out the window?
No,
Game of
can you?
Thrones? Remember
Oh
when
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
when he
I remember
jumped out
that.
the window?
Yeah.
So jet lag on the when you're home, you feel like you want to jump out the window, I guess is what I was trying to write. But on the
Yes.
way there, you don't want to have jet lag. So what I do is I'll take a sleeping pill right away. So if it's like so I'll knock out and I'll sleep on the plane. So then I wake up refreshed. If it's a 7 p.m. Flight, then I'll drink like some Red Bulls or espresso martinis and ride that excitement high until like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I'll just fall asleep for before we get there. So it's kind of like either stay awake super, super late. So then when you get there, you're kind of on that time, or fall asleep right away. So then you're kind of, when you wake up, you're on their time. But
I definitely like
yeah,
to train my
figured it out.
body a
And
little bit if I'm going, West Coast to
mhm,
East Coast. You know, I used to have to do
yeah,
that when I was living in Nashville, coming to visit you. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
you gotta
absolutely.
prep your body. You gotta prep your body because that's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's very big, very big.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
you
Nothing.
gotta find a way to sleep on a plane.
Good.
You gotta find a way to sleep on a plane.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
Big deal.
I'm the
Uh,
worst sleeper in life.
that.
I'm a bad sleeper. I hate. Yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to find your position. So I always like to take an office chair and I practice right before and after I'm about to get on a flight a little bit, practice my mode that stretch my neck out a little bit so I don't have a crick after. It's
Yeah.
there's a lot of you gonna want to be flexible. So when you're in your flight,
Mm.
you can just nod off. That's my favorite thing is the downward. Big fan of the if you need a tip to
Yeah.
keep your neck okay, the downward just keep your
Yeah.
yeah just eat all your under chins. That's what I do.
Yes. That's great.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I
Um,
usually don't wake up with neck pain.
That's great. I don't have many left, but the picture taking, I wish people would do this more. Offer to take someone's picture. Like if you see like they're at a lookout and they're taking pictures, like trying a selfie and stuff. Be like, hey, can I take your picture? And of course they want you to with a beautiful background, whatever it is. And then they'll reciprocate and take your picture back. So it's like, don't just be and also don't be the jerk who just stands in the perfect photo spot that everyone wants. Like get in there, get it out of the way Don't just be hanging out. Like there's a lineup of people trying to get this great view of this hike that they did or whatever it is. Get out of the way,
Uh,
and take people's pictures.
I would also say a great way to find a tour guide on the cheap is to find local transportation and then make friends with that guy and then get his number, get his
Yeah,
contact, and just keep using the same transporter daily. And you
yeah,
can get a great relationship that way if you tip well. Tip well, they'll really treat you
yeah.
well. That's the way you get invited back to Grandma Abuela's house. You know, for some
Mm-hmm.
home cooking is tipping
At
well
for
and
yeah,
keeping a smile on your face and just asking questions. You know, because people love to answer. People love to either talk about themselves or just talk about their surroundings and just their perspective. So always ask questions, because let them answer, let them just word vomit out their culture to you, because it's very easy to have a great time that way if you just sit back and just let them take the reins. It's really nice.
yeah. You're right. Nailed it. Um,
Don't tell them
Another
necessarily what
one. I've
you
got a
want to
couple
do.
more.
Tell them ask them what they like to do. People don't like to do
Yeah.
boring things, especially local people.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't doing
Yeah.
people if they have the very little time people in their locals have in their free time, they're not going to do boring stuff. So ask them what they like to do in their
Yeah.
free time.
I was invited back to someone's house in Vietnam, I think it was, and they had me drinking snake wine and bird wine. So
Mm.
there's like dead birds in like a mason jar and then dead snakes in a mason jar, and it
I think
was
they were
like
just
bird
playing
wine and snake
pranks
wine.
on you, Fraser. I think that
I'm
wasn't
telling
wine at
you,
all. I think that was just
it was bird wine, and
feathers and all.
well,
Feathers and all.
yeah, it was disgusting. I'll show you pictures. I wonder if it.
Pull it
I
up.
can Yeah, Google bird wine Vietnam, and you'll see they put tons
I've
on it.
heard of
Dead
snake
bird,
wine. I've
snake.
heard of the snake wine.
Yeah,
I've not heard of bird wine. Let's see bird wine.
yeah. Ugh, the first one that you Google.
Okay,
Uh,
they actually have well bottled bird wine. Wait, that might just be
yeah.
like it looks pretty. Wait. No,
I
no.
feel like
Wait,
that
Chinese bird. That's what
doesn't
you're
look pretty
saying.
at all.
Chinese. I think this is just a brand. Chinese bird wine.
No, no, no. No, if you Google bird wine
Not Chinese. I
Vietnam,
mean the Vietnamese.
the
What?
first.
Where were you? Oh God! Look
I
at
mean,
that.
I'm not trying to
Is that
get.
it? Is that it?
Yeah,
That's an
that's how
owl.
COVID
I
started.
think that's an owl. Oh. Oh.
See, don't. And there's like Cobra wine.
That's
There's a bunch of
wrong.
nasty
You
shit.
shouldn't. That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Well, I drank it, my friend. It is
Why?
disgusting. I
Why'd
don't know.
you
It was
drink
like
it?
a
That's
local
not like
thing.
offensive to say no. You can say no to that. You know that, right?
Yeah,
People
but I just
don't
want to
drink in
try it.
every that's another thing. Here's a travel tip. Every culture has people who don't drink. Don't let locals go and guilt trip you into a bender. Like you can say no to a local when it comes to eating food or drinking alcohol. It's a common myth that you just saying no to food is going to be insulting. No, not necessarily all the time. People don't feel like they have to eat all the time. It's not a thing. It's
Jackson,
just not a thing.
Jackson, have you ever said no to someone who offered you alcohol or food?
No, I haven't. But at the same time, I've learned from my mistakes. So there you go.
But you've never said no, so I don't think you've learned per se.
Argentina, say no. If you go to Argentina and you're offered just abundance of alcohol, and you feel
Why are they
obligated
getting a
that,
drive
hey, if
by?
I say no, this will offend. No,
Why'd the
no.
drive by on Argentina? What'd they do to you?
That was a lovely trip until I don't remember anything anymore. Like, it was
Okay.
the last 3 days were just a blur. It was
Okay.
fantastic. It was the first
Um.
week. The amount of Malbec I drank was unbelievable, and then
hmm.
this sugarcane liqueur stuff that was like very high potency. but very delicious. It just it roughed me up, man. It
Yeah.
roughed me up.
Well, Jackson disappears for a
Where's the
minute.
what is you don't act like you haven't had that type of experience, Fraser. When have you been taken advantage of as a tourist before by a
Yeah,
local?
I'm just saying I've never said no. So it's just
Oh
funny
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. But tell me
me
about
and
the
you
time
are
you got
telling
said no.
people.
Tell me
Me
about it.
and you are telling people to say no, and we both are lushes and eat everything and drink everything. So we've never
Well,
really said no.
yeah, I
So it's
mean,
just funny that we're the ones telling people, which you
well, we're
brought up. I
telling
wasn't even
people we'll
telling anyone
save
that.
jet lag for the very last
Hmm.
thing, and to be honest, we've had the worst jet lag of anybody we've ever known.
Yeah,
I mean, the
we.
last time I visited you, the jet lag I had coming back from
Yeah,
that trip was
yeah.
nightmarish.
I don't think that's jet lag per se. I think that's just a hangover. I don't think like a 2 hour flight is jet lag, but I'm not a
You're
chemist,
not a
I guess.
doctor, you're not a
No,
doctor, so
never claimed to be. I never have been.
Dr.
So,
LeVay. That's actually
so
kind of a
some
sexy name. It's kind of a
maybe
sexy
you
name,
can
Dr. LeVay.
we can do some role playing later when we're off the recording.
Yep.
Um, so another thing you always have to do, check the boat or the bus you're using before you purchase. I've been screwed twice in Thailand. I bought like a sleeper bus ticket, and it was not a sleeper bus ticket. It was miserable. It was like straight upright, 12, 13 hours.
How do you
They
check
honey
it,
dick me.
Fraser?
You go and you buy like straight to source. Don't use these random little agencies off the side. Be like, hey, show me the bus I'm exactly on. I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure. Don't just see the pictures and all that. Same thing with a boat. I went on a boat tour one time and it was miserable. So make sure don't skimp out and all of a sudden you're on just a shitty boat. You want to make sure you're on a half decent boat when you're going over waves in the ocean and you're just like wham wham and think you're gonna
Crocodile
die.
tours.
Uh,
Crocodile tours. I've
mm-hmm.
done one of those. I don't. You don't want to be on a flimsy canoe when you're on a crocodile tour with 20-foot
No.
crocs in Costa Rica, with a man
Yeah.
named Jose dangling raw chicken out of your boat. I'm telling you, you want to pay for the best experience. Don't cheap out on it because you will
Mm,
regret it.
yeah.
You will regret
I
it.
got served a Facebook video that was just like crocodile fails, and it was people
Mm.
like crocodile sightseeing, but like one knocked the guy off his kayak and he was upside down in the water. Oh, it was just terrifying. It was one of the scariest things I've ever watched. Um,
I croc.
another. I think we only got a couple more tips here. I'll go ahead.
Oh no.
Oh,
Another
if it's
thing
too good
that
to be true,
yeah, things that are too
if
good
it's
to be
too good to be
true are
true,
yeah they're good too
it
good to be true.
probably is.
Probably believe
Yeah,
they
exactly.
100% that rule is
Hmm.
universal. Doesn't matter where you go. Like if it's true in
Hmm.
that's true wherever you go. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Those words from your grandmother come sponsored, you know,
yeah,
worldwide. It's crazy.
yeah. Let me throw out a couple more. Take only what you need and leave the rest of your hotel. So, like when I'll leave, I'll just leave a credit card. I'll take a credit card, a debit card, an ID, and some cash. You don't want to lose all $1,000 you brought traveling because you got it in your pocket or all your credit cards. I always have a safety credit card back in my hotel with my passport. So, like when I was robbed in Mexico, I still had my passport and I still had an extra credit card and an extra ID that I was able to use for the rest of the trip. Where if I had everything in there, I would have been, and I had a bunch of cash still. So,
This
um,
is another trip too. Is if you plan on
mm,
getting a lot of souvenirs or buying a lot of stuff, bring an extra bag if you can. Bring your carry on,
yeah,
and then an empty check on, and
hmm,
then you can just fill it up. Plan on buying your wardrobe for your entire wardrobe over there. I really like that.
hmm,
When I did in Costa Rica, I just brought like
hmm,
two. I was staying for a week, and I only brought 2 days worth of clothes. I bought all my other clothes there you know, just
yeah,
because I, first of all, got some great deals and
hmm,
then second of all, the style, you just, the style is fantastic over there and you get to
yeah,
really get to feel it if you, buy local. I really
yeah.
appreciate that.
I love that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Try to experience the local culture. I think we talked on that. Pack light. Uh,
Yes. Backlight, you know,
yeah.
you want to be able to
When you're
move.
when you're searching for flights, turn on your private or incognito mode on your web browser. So then you don't get cookied because, as you know, like when you're searching for stuff, there's a high demand. Tickets will go up. So you want to make sure you're always, when you're searching for stuff, do it on private mode. So the cookies on the
Intercontinental.
travel sites don't see that. And
If you're flying,
yeah,
if you're flying all over the world, Fraser, what's your airline of choice? And then domestic, what's your airline of choice?
I think for travel tips, whoever is the cheapest, baby. Like I'm just going with whatever. I went on Norwegian Airlines from Los Angeles to Rome, $320. Flight was fine. The sitting in the chair was fine. It wasn't bad at all. I thought it was going to be a nightmare. So I mean, I just go with whatever makes sense. I know when I'm in Asia, there's a couple great airlines. When you're in Europe, there's a few different ones. So here, I do Southwest because I have a lot of Southwest points, but also American Airlines. If it's cheaper, I'll fly American. I think I've done JetBlue. I've got no pros or cons. I just go with whatever's the best deal, quickest flight. So, like Costa Rica, United, I think it is, has more direct flights than American. Mexico, American has more flights than United. So it just kind of depends.
My
Um,
next question. My next
yeah.
question is so domestic. Actually, no, I'll tell you my favorite domestic is Southwest, actually. I love Southwest. Why?
Hmm.
Because they're dependable in terms of Wi-Fi, like in terms of being on board. They got great amenities
Yeah.
on board that just come free and standard. Up to date movies
Mm,
automatically on your phone. They upload all their flights got the Wi-Fi on it that
yeah.
works. You know, you can free texting.
Texting. Yeah.
Texting's
Free texting.
huge. You know,
Yeah.
because I like to work while I have to work while I'm traveling. You know, especially if I'm on a
Hmm.
Friday, having to fly out on a Friday,
Yeah.
I got to
You're a
finish
big
some email.
businessman.
I could, yeah,
Yeah.
and they cater to that. I really love that.
Yeah.
They keep that in mind. Not a lot of airlines do, or they say, "Oh, we have Wi-Fi, but it's not available. It's not, not available right now. It's
Hmm.
not working." You know, Southwest, it's always
Hmm.
working, always working.
Yeah.
They care.
Shout out. Shout out Southwest.
Shout out
Um,
Southwest.
a couple, some safety tips. Make copies of your license and your passport, and always have them on you in some in your bag that you leave back.
I
And
do
get
actually.
travel insurance.
Right here,
Travel insurance, like
passport.
health.
Passport
There you go.
right here. I keep it right with me all the times, and then a separate ID, second ID,
Yeah.
all times.
Second
Great
ID
point,
always.
Frazier. Great point,
Thanks.
Frazier.
Thank you. Get travel insurance. I know my health insurance costs $300 a month. If you go, my health insurance in Asia cost me $25 for the
I did
entire two
not
months,
think
and I was
about
in
that.
Asia.
Do you actually get the insurance? Do you get it through your current insurance for when you go
Uh,
abroad, or how do you get that
no, so
extra part of your policy?
I always use Berkshire Hathaway randomly. They have a really good
Shout out
travel. Yeah,
Buffett.
yeah, it's very odd, but they have a great travel insurance, and it's so cheap. So
Okay.
I'll do that just because it's, and they also like they guarantee your bags. If your bags get lost, you get like bag insurance. You get, obviously, if something bad physically happened to you, a bunch of other stuff. They cover a ton, and it's really cheap.
Yeah,
So,
well, a lot of people be dying abroad these days, like Dominican
hmm,
Republic and people going abroad for boob jobs and whatnot like that, and things can go wrong.
people are
Boob jobs,
dying from
butt
boob jobs,
jobs.
from breast implants.
Well, for instance, I mean, it's been on the news. Those four people went down to Mexico for some cosmetic surgery, and they were kidnapped,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
a whole ordeal occurred. And I'm sure they could really
Hmm.
use some Berkshire Hathaway insurance at that point. So
Hmm.
better to have it
Yeah.
than not. Better to have it than not need it, or
Yeah.
whatever the saying is.
Yeah. I think that's the saying. Better have it than not
Need it.
ever
Mm.
need it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's basically it. Uh, we covered some great stuff. So thanks for coming on, Jackson. We'll do another one
Oh,
either tomorrow or Monday.
but here's a good
Yeah, what else
question,
you got?
Fraser. Attire,
Yeah.
travel attire. I want to know about what to wear to go through airports. What's it best to wear? Is it best to wear the long pants? Is it best to wear the short pants? Is it best to go flip flops or
Mm,
boots? I'm a pre-check guy, so I
yeah.
just fly right through sometimes. But some other people
Yeah.
wear bracelets upon bracelets, and they take 5 minutes to get through.
Mhm.
what what do you like to,
Hmm.
what's your travel day attire like?
I'm full comfort all the time. I'll wear just sweatpants because I get cold on the flights. I'll wear sweatpants. Sometimes if it's not too long, I'll put shorts on underneath just in case I do need to. Layers, I guess, is where I was going. So I like to layer it. If you're too cold, you can transfer that. Then I always have just my comfiest t-shirt and a hoodie.
Well,
And so I'll
and
put
that's
on the hoodie if
traveling
I need
abroad
it. If
too.
not,
Like you were going from United States
yeah,
all the way to
yeah,
Thailand, and
yeah,
the
comfy
transition
sweats.
definitely wear sweatpants and stuff and stay
Yeah.
stay
I
comfy.
typically go I typically go commando because I just feel like underwear just really bunches up on these
Hmm.
long flights. So I'll just be commando in sweatpants, comfy t-shirt, hoodie, and
That's
sneakers, comfortable sneakers,
that's
and
funny.
socks on. It's kind of like the movie theater. You can't go to a movie theater or the airplane in flip-flops. Your feet are cold. Also, you don't want if you're a smelly feet person, you don't want to have that.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people post that they don't like when people take their shoes off. If people, yeah, if you're working all day and I don't know why you would do that. I guess if you're a business person, but I take my shoes off all the time. But I'm like, if I'm going on a flight, I'm freshly showered. I'm clean as a whistle.
Hmm.
So there's no odors. So don't just blanket people out there of saying, "Oh, keep your shoes on." Yeah, if you've worked all day and you have smelly feet, keep your shoes on. But if you're freshly showered and you just want some comfort, I always take my shoes off on a flight. I'm here. I'm comfortable, baby. And
Oh
a
yeah.
pillow. I bring a travel pillow. But
Oh,
I can't sleep on it like this. I have to sleep on it like that.
big deal. Big deal. Extra
Mhm.
batteries. Travel batteries as
Mm.
well, just because once you get international, ports get weird, energy
Mhm.
sources get
Yeah.
finicky. You want to be able to
Yeah.
always have the right plug-in, so
Yeah.
definitely
You definitely that's a good
definitely
point.
definitely bring your own energy sources. That's a huge
Mhm.
travel tip for me because my phone dies all the time because I'm constantly
Yeah.
on it and addicted. So
Yeah. That's true. And I think bring your own energy. I think that metaphorically speaking as well, bring that
yeah, I
happiness,
mean,
bring that
bad
Jackson.
attitude is universal anywhere. It doesn't matter where you travel. A bad attitude is always greeted with a bad attitude. So always bring a smile,
And
pack a smile wherever
and
you go.
what's a great attitude always do you get back? A
I've
great
I've
attitude,
had some
right?
amazing times with a great attitude.
Yeah.
I've fornicated with
Sometimes I
people
like
many times.
sometimes I like when you before as we're leaving, I like when you hold your microphone like you're like kiss and you grab it and then it's like you're speaking into it like you're just talking to a crowd. I really enjoy that. Like I feel like I'm in a concert.
Yeah, I
So
that's part of why I took up this podcasting endeavor so I could feel like I'm a rock star concert guy.
yeah.
And honestly, yeah, I do get into that because like I can flick it down. It's a little longer than I can. It's
Yeah.
kind of yeah, it's kind of
Well,
nice.
this has been an hour. I wonder if anyone actually listens a full hour. Kudos if you made it this long.
I listen to
Well,
Joe Rogan for 3 hours at times, and
yeah,
what
that's
Lex
true.
Friedman, a couple other people,
We're basically
Walsh,
them. So you're right.
Stavros, Tom Segura, and Christina P. And
Hmm.
I can get into zones. That's another thing. Travel podcasts, I would say,
Mm.
when you're downloading YouTube, you might as well download
Yeah.
some podcasts, some audiobooks. What's the
What about a
last?
podcast about travel to where you're going? That'd be a
That is
good
a great
podcast to
thing.
download, wouldn't it?
That is a great thing. I'm a big culinary guy, so I always like to look up what exactly I should eat while I'm over there, like the do's and
Mm.
don'ts of my, especially because your bowels are going to be tender to whatever you're going towards.
Hmm.
So you want to make sure you're eating the right things that are going to make you feel good. Because as soon as you don't,
Maybe. uh
it's going to be a rough day.
Maybe we can do maybe when the next podcast we can do a food podcast, food travel, our favorite places to travel and eat food. Let's do that. We'll do that
Absolutely. I
tomorrow or Monday.
honestly cooking abroad. I do like to cook abroad. When I said
Mm.
amenities and when you stay, like I like getting a kitchen and I like cooking
Mm.
myself wherever I'm at and getting local ingredients and sourcing it. It that way the people that you're with will always be happy and fed and also that you will stay healthy. Like it's just sometimes when you're traveling abroad, it can get a little iffy sometimes. So cooking, always having a way to cook something is convenient. Just have that in your back pocket. I always
I love
encourage
that.
eating street food, but
Mm,
you better you I if I s- if whenever I go out eating street food, I look for sinks. I look to see if they're washing their hands, and I
mm,
like to see if there were like who the access to food. Is there a refrigerator? How's the food being kept and stored? Things like that. And always go to
mm,
the places with lines. I will say that.
yeah.
Don't try the easy way out when you see a bunch of street vendors and there's a line with one. You're like, I don't want to wait in that line. I want to go to that place. They look like they have the same food. They don't. There's a reason lines exist, and that is
Mm-hmm.
because that is where the food is good. Always follow the lines. I know it's inconvenient, but follow the lines sometimes. Sometimes. And your local
Yeah.
guide, and make them eat it first.
Yeah. Well, all right. That'll be the
The
next
way I do that
podcast.
is I often
We'll do
buy
a
them lunch or
draft.
dinner. Buy them lunch or dinner.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, that's a great tip. Buy your guide lunch or dinners, and then tell them where we should go, and they'll take you to the best spots. I did that
Yep.
with in Costa Rica actually as well.
Yep.
Yeah, next pod we'll do a draft. Us back and forth, favorite places, restaurant or place we've eaten from traveling, and travel food tips. All
I
right,
love that.
pleasure, Jackson. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you very soon.
InspiredTravelEat.com. This was the best travel podcast in the universe. We hope. Go get yourself a beer neck koozie.
I will.
Bye, Jackson.
Bye.
Bye.